Hello and welcome to the Temple of Tomes with your host, Indie Comics Jones. Today is March 25th, 2021, and this is episode 244. We're looking at Blade Runner Origins is the Arc. It's a Titan comic. It's the second in the arc for $3.99. And take a quick look at the cover here. We've got, this is Moreau. He's a police detective, and he's going to become the first Blade Runner, I believe, and that's the whole idea of the origin story here. Now, he's kind of taken this pose here. This actual pose doesn't really happen in the book. I think it's more of an homage to the original Blade Runner movie with Harrison Ford up there. As we have the birds in here as well, if you recall all of that was going on with that. This is now a full recommend. The first issue, I was kind of on the hedge with it. There was some questionable PC stuff in there that doesn't appear in this, and the story just plows right ahead, and it really picked up nicely. So I'm all in now, for right now at least, and hopefully they'll continue with this streak. Let's take a look at who is working on this comic. It's written by Kay Perkins and Mello Brown. The art is by Fernando Dagnino. The colors are by Marco Lesko. Letters by Jim Campbell, and it was edited by David Leitch. And consultants are Michael Green and Mike Johnson. Did those backwards, but they worked, I think, on the other Blade Runner books, as I recall. Okay, we get a nice blurb about all the replicants and kind of a history behind that and what actually happened in the last issue. So that's kind of nice, kind of tying it all together. Detective Cal Moreau is the main guy in here. And then we get this scene here. This is another homage, I think, to the original Blade Runner movie. And we actually see the Blade Runner. I'm not sure if this is the Nexus 5 model or it's just another Nexus 4 that has been transformed. But they start off with this. And what we find out in the first issue, Dr. Lydia Kine was found. They're saying that it's a suicide, but it looks more like a murder. So Cal Moreau is investigating it as a murder, and that is bothering the police department because they're expecting a big payout from the Tyrell company that makes the replicants, for a new police station. So they kind of wanted him just to say it's a suicide, open and shut case, but he's looking into it. So what we've got here is this gentleman here, and I cannot remember his first name, but he is Dr. Kine's brother, and he is walking through a mall, and he is being followed by this replicant for some reason. He doesn't know why. He kind of looks over his shoulder at one point and doesn't see him suddenly. So he goes on, and later on, this is kind of almost a flashback because we've got Cal Moreau here, and this is what happened last issue. That's when Cal Moreau actually finds the brother at his house, and so he's trying to wants to question him about his sister. And right now, this is something that's going on where apparently Cal Moreau has just been pointing. He expects the replicant to be on the other side of this door because they were both attacked in the end of the last issue. And so Cal finally kind of snaps out of it. He takes the brother, and they take off in this kind of cool scene here. This, if you recall, these cars actually not only drive, but they also fly. They can lift off. And so that's apparently what they're doing now, to the brother's chagrin. So meanwhile, we go back to Tyrell Corporation, and Effie, who's Dr. Kine's assistant, and I'm not sure exactly what the relationship was in there, if they were friends or more than that or whatever, but she is trying to access the codes for the computer. And Miss Stahl, who's kind of like this creepy looking white lady here, that apparently she's the bad guy that so far that we can tell. And you'll see by her facial expressions through here, she kind of gives that away a little bit. But she's saying, what are you doing here? And she says, I was trying to access the computer. And he said, well, we've already taken all the files out of it. And if you know anything else, please tell us. And she says, I don't know anything else. I was just trying to figure out, kind of what's going on. And she asked her, why does she have trees on all her screens in the place? And Effie says, I don't know. And so they wander off, and I should say Miss Stahl wanders off while Effie's left behind and just saying, if you know anything, you better let us know. Meanwhile, Cal has taken the brother into the police station. He wants to talk to his boss. He sits this guy down, goes over. Actually, he doesn't want to talk to his boss. He wants to go to the morgue and check out Lydia's corpse one last time. And so he heads down there, takes a look at her. And then his sergeant comes to bust him and says, what are you doing here? This should have been closed. It's a suicide case. He says, well, usually when someone hangs themselves, their vertebrae doesn't get broken, their neck gets broken. And he says, just, okay, you're hanging yourself out to dry here. You better take care of this right way. I don't want to see you until this is all done. And so he kind of storms off. Cal goes back to his office, and the brother is gone. And they said, and no one wants to help him. He said that 2 people came and take him. That was about all they took him. And so he rages out of the office, charges out into the parking lot, and there's no one there, just a couple police cars. So in the meantime, what's happened is these 2 armed escorts have taken the brother out to Miss Stahl's really fancy-dancy limousine. I really like the art in here. It's really nice. And so she starts questioning him, and this is really cool because you see this silhouette in the background here as she's questioning him, what do you know about this? And suddenly it turns and heads towards the car and leaps, and he's like, watch out. He sees him. And because I believe that they have lifted off at this time. You can see this. So they're up in the air. And so this guy just rips off. Obviously, he's a replicant because he's got the extra strength, the extra speed, the agility, and all that, and causes the limousine to crash. You hear the driver yelling, "Brace!" So we get this scene here with the replicant standing above him, and then we flash back to Detective Moreau, who's kind of like, well, I lost my witness. Let me go talk to Effie, and she meets him here. I guess she may have called him or something. But he's getting kind of hassled by some of the locals because he's a policeman. So he sits down with Effie, and she's kind of dressed like she's going to church in the 30s. I'm not quite sure if that's supposed to be a modern look. It doesn't really look like it. But anyhow, and this comic's taking place in 2009, but it's kind of an altered timeline, obviously, from what really happened in 2009. So they just kind of reminisce about things back and forth. And kind of the last thing that Cal Moreau comes up with is, you did all these things to improve these replicants. Did you ever code them so they wouldn't hurt their creators? And that's just kind of where they left it with that. So meanwhile, back at the limousine crash, both participants in the back seat, Miss Stahl and the brother, I can't think of what his name is, Marcus Kine, thank you. They're both groggy. They're kind of out of it. Suddenly the roof gets ripped off, and Marcus is yelling, "Help!" And the guy says, "Take my hand, Marcus." So apparently this is the replicant. I don't know if this is the one that they're saying murdered Dr. Lydia Kine, or if it's another one that she's been working on. But apparently they had been doing these upgrades to give them curiosity and hopefulness and things like that. And also the other thing that Cal Moreau was asking for is, why'd you make them look like us? We can't tell them apart. So anyway, this is to be continued. It is a total recommend now, full on. And let's look at some of the other things that were in this book. We got Blade Runner 2029. I guess this is a female Blade Runner Bleeding Cool, which I don't know if you can believe them, is 10 out of 10, a must read. I think my reviews are much better than Bleeding Cool, honestly, so you've come to the right place. Okay, then we get a look at the cover gallery. So this was the cover that we saw earlier. Here's one of the variant with Miss Stahl on it. And I believe she's supposed to be the baddie in here because she's a white woman. Okay, and then we have these other variant covers here. Not too much different. That one's pretty cool. I actually don't like that one. That one's not too bad either. Next issue is going to look like this for the regular cover. And that comes out next month, so not too far away from now. And then we get these rave reviews. And I would agree, this issue I thought was stellar compared to the first issue. First issue was pretty good. This one's really good. Okay, so thank you for stopping by and watching my review of Blade Runner Origins. As always, please like, please subscribe if you haven't, please leave comments, and we'll see you next time. Hopefully I'll get another fun comic to review because I'm really liking when I'm doing the fun ones. And we'll see you next time at the Temple of Tomes. This is Indie Comics Jones bidding you adieu.